I can feel it. I mean, I'm faster and I'm stronger. And when the goal was initially, let's get this race, under our belts. I like the fact that my fitness is improving that rapidly because it's going to take a big jump to get there. And so I really, really like the path we're on. I heard about Aviv through an advertisement in the paper for a cycling expo here in the Villages. I'm a club rider, meaning that I, ride bikes, cycle with the groups here in the Villages, ride mountain bikes. I went through, picked up all the freebies, but ran into a table that was there by Aviv. And we talked about what they could do, what they couldn't do. Didn't think much more about it at the time as I worked my way through the vendor expo. This summer, my wife and I were out west. There's a race out west that I rode in called the Breck Epic. It's a mountain bike race. It was a big goal. We made it. Finished towards the back, but I made it. But we went back out this summer to do some volunteer work at the race. And as I was working with the riders here and their stories coming in, I kept thinking about Aviv and thinking, could they help with this? Because this race is tough. And I thought to myself, if I could increase my performance by 25%, where would that move me into the pack? And that's when I came back, made an appointment to come in, talk to the doctor for my consultation, and told him the plan, that I wanted to find a way to really kind of jumpstart my fitness. And I was already relatively fit, but nothing extraordinary. I mean, just the guy off the couch riding a bike. And I thought, is it possible to do this?
How's that?
That's good.
All right.
I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I thought, well, let's go through the assessment and see what comes of that first. And so through the assessment, we found out that probably over the course of a few mountain bike crashes, that I had some blood flow problems in my head, which was a little scary. When you can see the scans and you can see these areas in your head that have diminished flow, it does make you wonder what the future might look like. And so for me, the goal was let's pick a gigantic race. For me, it was the Leadville 100 mountain bike race in Colorado in August. And that is, it's a big one. There's no way I'm prepared for it when I signed up for Aviv the first time. And I thought, this is the chance. Let's see if they can help me, give me the tools to train for this race and actually complete this thing. It's at 10,000 feet in Leadville, Colorado. You race to 13, but it's not straight up and straight down. It's almost 12,000 feet of climbing throughout the day, and it's 105 miles. You leave at 6 a.m. You got to be back in town by 6 p.m. or you don't finish.
So when I first met Dean, he was like a lot of the athletes we treat. He trains hard. He's passionate about his sport. And I ask everybody, no matter what they're coming in for, what's on your wish list? And when I asked Dean that same question, he said he wants to perform at the highest level for as long as he can. And that's the best answer anybody can give, because you have realistic expectations, but you want to be able to push the limits of your own body and your mind. And we said, okay, let's get to work. And he went through the full evaluation, and he worked with our exercise physiology team, our dietitian, the medical staff. That passion and that focus was what I think separates Dean from a lot of other athletes. And we were able to use his strengths to kind of increase his performance.
We did things that tested my physical ability compared to where I was prior. That was significant for me, because that is the test. Was this worth it? And there were a couple tests that were, I was even surprised by. In the first test I rode, I rode the bike, and it gradually gets harder as you ride, and I rode the bike for 10 minutes and 39 seconds. In the post-test, with the bike set up exactly the same way, I rode through the protocol, and the bike shut down before I was finished. So, yeah, the bike stopped, so there wasn't much left, but it feels good to ride through it. We did VO2 max testing. The increase was, I want to say it was 40.05% increase in part of that test. I was shocked. I mentioned I go to Mayo to do this testing, and so I've got repeatable tests from Mayo Clinic. And all the training I do, moving a VO2 number is a big deal. I mean, to move it at all is really, really tough. You're kind of where you are. And my number hasn't moved at Mayo Clinic. It's been consistent. And to have such a gigantic increase after coming through the chamber, you know, that's I don't want to understate that. I mean, that's incredible.
We did the VO2 max again, and he actually improved another 40%. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was expecting maybe a few more percent, but for him to improve that, because I rechecked the results just to make sure if it made sense, and in fact it did. So I was very happy for him.
I have a great friend of mine that I ride with. He's the Florida State senior time trial champion. You know, lately, you know, I'm on his wheel, and he notices it. You know, and I certainly notice that I'm able to ride harder for longer. This is other level stuff. So at this point in my training, you know, all this piled together, whether it's the Aviv, the training, you know, every variable that we can control to get through this race. I mean, it's going to be epic. It's nuts to think, you know, that Aviv can get this done. Thank you. Way to go, guys. Yep. Thank you.
It's your graduation day.
Well, it's like I've been plugged in, like my batteries have been charging for 60 days, and he just unplugged me, and now it's time to go out, you know, see what it can do for a little while.
Absolutely.
So it feels good.
Well done.
Thank you.
Ready?
That's it. That's the race. As the race begins, you know, they start feeding you out of town to begin the 105-mile trek, you know, up through the mountains. And it's pretty crazy because you find yourself elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder on these mountain bikes, just ripping down the road with 2,000 people. Headed into that last cutoff time at 6:20 was another about a 4-mile climb. Now it was a paved climb, but now we're looking at mile 90. You know, and you're just feeling the day. You know, you gotta pedal. Now I remember walking up this hill and seeing people doubled over, thrown up, sitting on the ground with their, you know, head on their knees. I wasn't sure, but I think I went through that checkpoint at 6:20 and 10 seconds. And I was the last one. Crazy. I mean, just crazy. But you're still not done because you still got to get 15 more miles back to town. but we did it, and you're numb. I mean, at this point, I think I finished the race. To be a finisher at Leadville, you had to be in under 13 hours, and I think I had about 126 seconds to spare. I mean, just tough. A long, long, tough day. I would call the race a tremendous success. The one that probably gave up the most for this was my wife. But she's always encouraging. I mean, she knew how important it was. And, she was there. It wasn't a vacation for her because it often goes untalked about. But, when you pull into these aid stations, somebody's got to be there that knows whose bottle is whose. Which bottle do you want right now? Which bottle is the bottle for later? Which pack? What's in the pack? What nutrition do you want to eat right then? All of this stuff has to be handled by someone, and it's not the rider. I mean, she's the we, so. It's anybody that does anything competitively always thinks they could do better, I did finish Leadville. That was the goal. So there's nothing left. That's as good as you can do. So, that's why I think Leadville was a success for me. I look at this and think this shouldn't even be possible. But whether it's, I think it's more than just the training. I think the work that Aviv did for me, if you every 1% in this race is like 8 minutes. And so if Aviv gave me 10%, it made up an hour difference or more, almost an hour and a half. So, I'd have never made it without Aviv. If I wouldn't have had my riding buddy, Joe Frost, we'd have never, I wouldn't even be close to this. Obviously, I talk about Aviv a lot. John, my physiologist, Dr. Mo, my doctor, David, the guy that runs the whole program, we became really good friends. I'm a screaming advocate for Aviv. I felt like it helped me correct some problems I had both in my head and physically from the crash. But it also made me a better athlete. It was worth a lot. So the whole program, I feel like the whole program gave me Leadville. I'm still committed to the goals that Aviv helped me set out with, the fitness as it relates to the diet through the different macros we track. We've already created a training plan for the end of the year, but the goal now is longevity and improved fitness more than it is necessarily speed on the bike or the ability to climb or the ability to do whatever. It's more of a general goal just to be the best I can be, at 56 until the next big goal comes along. There will be something else. Maybe of the same magnitude, maybe not, but there will be something else.